Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I hope everyone is doing great. I don't know why my background is doing all this weirdness. But nonetheless, I am excited to have you all here. If you haven't met me before, I'm Mia James. I am your host of Feminine Finance with Mia James. And my goal is to create a safe space for women to talk about all things finances. So today, I am going to be sharing about creating a value based spending ladder. Okay. So if you are a lady who likes to shop, hey, Natasha, thank you for always being here and being so awesome. So we're just starting. So you are right on time. So I was just discussing what we're going to cover for tonight. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what are your values, right? Because one thing that I've learned is that it's nothing wrong with spending per se. It's just when you do spend, are you spending it wisely on the things that your future self will thank you for? So there's nothing wrong with having there's nothing wrong with spending money. It's just that we want to make sure that we're going to benefit from it. And sometimes it's good to have fun too. Hey, Cheryl. So great to see you here tonight. Glad you could join us. Such a privilege to have you here. So, we're going to jump right on in. All right. So, if you are joining us and I just can't see that you're here, let me know in the chat where you are joining from. And we're going to jump right in. All right, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen, y'all. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do, we're actually going to start out with our values. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Oops, I think I added an extra. Nope, that actually worked. Fantastical. Thanks, Natasha, for sharing in our group. So Natasha's joining us from South Carolina. I know Cheryl's joining us from New York. Who else we got here today? Let me know in the chat. Awesome. So I just dropped a link in the chat for you. And what we're going to be doing is the first thing we want to look at is what are your values? That's first and foremost. So you probably know them by heart if you know yourself pretty well. But just in case you need a little refresher, or maybe some things in life have changed and you have some completely different values than you've had in the past. Sometimes we have enlightening, awakening, and we tend to value other things, especially when we go through major transformation. So in the chat, oops, I just realized I didn't hit share. Let's do present and do share screen. All right. So hopefully you all can see my screen. Okay. So this is a list of values. I got this from Brene Brown and I dropped the link in the chat in case you want to have this for yourself. But basically, here are a list of common values. And so I want to give you a few moments to look this list over. Typically, what I have done when I've looked at my values and reevaluated them, because they have shifted slightly, pretty much still in the same genre, but as I get to know myself better, I'm able to really hone in on what my values truly are. And so, what we want to do is actually pick out your top 3 values, okay? So, of course, you see there's a long list here. So, this is not something that you have to do right this minute. But when you are thinking about creating value based spending, I want you to have your values handy, right? And not only do I want you to know the word for your values, but I want you to also define what do those values mean to you. So when you are making a spending decision, your spending and pretty much everything you do, whether it's the time you spend, the people you're with, everything you do in essence should be connected back to the things that you say you value. Okay, so any questions so far, let me know in the chat. Okay, thanks, Natasha. Excellent. I'm glad y'all can see it. So just take a few moments. And if you already know what your top 3 values are, just put a 1 in the chat for me. Just let me know that you already have that taken care of. And put a 2 in the chat if you have already defined what those values mean to you. Excellent. Thank you, Natasha. Lovely. Okay. So once you do that, okay, so again, I don't want to rush you. This is more for you to grab your journals and kind of take down some notes. So when you are doing your reflection in your personal time, your journaling, you can do this activity. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And the next thing that you're going to do is after you've defined, kind of what that means to you, now you're going to think about this in terms of the things that you spend money on. So I'm going to share my value-based spending ladder. So let me just get it queued up again. Okay, there it is. And we're going to hit share. And this is just something I created in Canva. Nothing fancy, but what I wanted to do, the reason why I even created a value-based spending ladder is because every time, like, I'm self-employed. So whenever I pay myself, I wanted to have a structure in which the money flow back out into the world. So I didn't want to just be like helter skelter, right? With whenever I get funds in. And of course I have a spending plan, but I wanted that spending plan to just be a lot deeper than, how much am I going to spend on, groceries or food or clothes or whatever have you, right? I really wanted it to reflect the things that I say that are important to me and the things that touch my heart. And so if you've ever heard someone read my bio before, you've probably heard people say that I'm a philanthropist. And so that is my goal. I'm not a major philanthropist as of yet, but one day I do hope to create a scholarship fund and I want to be able to give more. So I give at the level that I can give now, but that is something important to me to be able to give out of any monies that I receive. And so I'll share my ladder with you all and something that I made. And this is the structure through which I decide how my funds will be spent. So let's see here. Okay, yes, here it is. I love when technology works. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see this. Let's see, let me go back over here. Yes, okay, good. Looks like it's showing. Okay. Okay, so hang on for a moment, y'all. Excuse the interruption. I forgot that my mind movie actually has music. So I'm gonna pull up the version that does not have the music in it so we can go through it. So forgive me for that for a second because I like to be hyped up when I'm looking at stuff. So therefore there is music in there. And I forgot that when I shared it, the music was gonna start playing. So just a little snapshot into the real life of Mia S. James. She likes her hype music. All right, let's find my other version. Here it is. Okay. And bam. All right. So now we'll share that one. That one does not have me. Thank you, Natasha. Yeah. So instead of doing vision boards, I have a vision board too, like my husband and I, but I did a mind movie for 2025. So this, what you're going to see, is a part of my mind movie. And what I do, because our brain remembers things in pictures, so a part of my visualization is to watch my mind movie until everything manifests. And things have actually been manifesting. So it's actually working really, really well. All right. So it is, here we go. Let's see if we can get that going. All right. So here is what, no, I don't like that. Oh, okay. I see now. Okay. I think we are cooking with gas. All right. As you can see, my mind movie is quite extensive. Okay. So here we are, minus the music. All right. So this is my value-based spending ladder. So just to kind of give you a context, my first value is love. And so with love is patient, love is kind, Love is not self-seeking. It never boasts. It puts others ahead of self. My second value is prosperity, because I want to make sure that I can be an abundant giver. And then my third one is freedom. And for me, freedom is time freedom, is financial freedom, is freedom of thought. And so for me, kingdom giving. So for me, what I do is I typically tithe first. Um, well, actually, I make sure, like when I'm writing out my spending plan, the tithing is in there. When I give the tithe, it may not necessarily be right then and there because I may do it while, I'm at church, for example. The next thing is actually I put away a portion of my profits, right? Because I'm teaching myself how to pay myself first. Oh, Natasha, what would be a future class for me? Tell me. And then the next thing, so a lot of times there's this book. I haven't read it, but I do practice the principles because multiple people have shared it with me. When it talks about profit first, right? And so in order for us to really start to work in a wealth and abundant mindset, we have to get in the mindset of paying ourselves first. So after I put aside money for tithes, the next thing I put aside money for is I put aside some profit and I just set it aside in the bank account and let it grow, right? And if I need to use it, I'll use it. Oh, yes, Natasha, I would love to do a My Movie class because it was quite fun to create. The next thing, like I told you before, so I'm really, really big on becoming a philanthropist. So I want to put a portion of my spending towards giving, right? So this is tithes and this is like additional giving. Okay. The next thing is debt and savings, right? So those are two things that I work on simultaneously. I never do just like, oh, I'm just knocking out debt. No, absolutely not. Because rainy days, things are always going to pop up. So I always do this simultaneously. Then I actually dedicate a lot of money to learning. Anybody, let me know in the chat. Anybody else have a nice little healthy budget for personal and professional development? I'm always buying books, web master classes, all sorts of things, right? And then I will put money towards travel, home decor, and buying clothes is like way down there on my list, right? Home decor is like way at the bottom. Travel always wins in this particular situations. Oh, yes, Natasha, that is actually accurate. So the first three, the values are not on here. I was just telling them to you. So kingdom is the first one. So how do these things, so thank you for saying that actually, Natasha. So how do these things relate to my value? So for me, love, right? So a part of love, one thing for me is to give. I love to give to people that I love. So that's me giving to God, giving to myself, and giving to others. Okay. That's one way that I demonstrate love. The second is prosperity. Okay. So prosperity definitely comes in here in the profit area. So I save a portion of my profits, and it's also teaching me to believe and know actually that my business is a profitable business, because that's another thing too, especially when you first start out in your business. Your goal is to be profitable. I know it doesn't always happen overnight, but you want to train your mind that I am creating and sustaining a profitable business. Okay. I am creating and sustaining a profitable business. And even if you just put aside $5 out of your funds to say this is profit, that's something, until that five becomes 50, becomes 500, becomes 5,000, becomes 50,000, right? And then the other one is freedom. My other value is freedom. And the way that I have freedom, one, I need to not be a slave to the lender. Okay. I need to get up out of the debt. Number two, saving, right? By saving and investing, that all goes to me, saving and investing goes hand in hand. I am creating financial freedom. Okay. Also by learning other ways to implement financial freedom, right? Because like the wonderful Queen Natasha, who was joining us tonight. I am learning a lot about crypto from her. In all honesty, like I was a very traditional, let me not say conservative. I was a traditional investor, right? Very vanilla. I'm like, okay, I understand the stock market. I understand real estate. Cool, we can do that. But now there's crypto. More people are talking about buying commodities, things of that nature. And it's good for diversification. I believe in diversification. So my biggest thing to you, and I know I talked about this last time, is instead of being afraid of something, go and learn as much as you can about it from someone you trust so that you can make a decision on whether or not that's the route that you want to go. And then you got to have some joy in your life, right? None of us just work just to pay bills. Can I get a witness? Like, I know it's some new people that just joined us. Let us know where you are joining us from. And if you missed the beginning, the first activity that we started with, we looked at what are your top 3 values. And then my next exercise for you is to build your own value-based spending ladder. Okay. Yes, Natasha. This is it right here. Our people need to get involved in this wealth transfer. In the next 3 years, over $1 billion of wealth is about to transfer into this next generation's hands. So if you are not savvy, I recommend that you start to get to learning about how you can be involved in this wealth transfer that's about to go down with all the baby boomers retiring. So that's my plug. So if you just joined and you did not get the values, here is a link to download them. This is from Brene Brown. Hey, baby B, you made it. Awesome. So this is a list of values. That's what I just put into the chat that you can actually pull from. And I want everyone to make sure you narrow down your top 3 values, as well as the meaning of those values for you. And then this is how I broke down my values into spending metrics, right? So whenever I get paid, the first thing I'm doing is when I pay myself, excuse me, that's most important. When I pay myself, I'm tithing, putting away some of my profit because I believe that I am creating and sustaining a profitable business. So thank you, Natasha, for capturing that. Then I want to make sure I give to others. So for me, this captures my first value of love for God, love for me, and love for others, right? Because we can't pour from an empty cup. We're blessed to be a blessing. So we have to make sure that we have sufficient so that we can give to others. Then my next value is prosperity, right? And so for me, being prosperous allows me to be an even bigger philanthropist, an even bigger giver to the kingdom. And then the last one is freedom. So being out of debt leads to freedom. Saving and investing more leads to freedom for me. Learning allows me to learn other ways that I can build up these other ladders. And so when you have something like this in mind or in place, it really helps you be strategic to align how you spend your money with your values and your goals, right? And you can even eventually attach numbers to these, like what percentage do you want to give? What percentage do you give to the kingdom? What percentage do you keep for yourself? So I highly recommend creating this for yourself. And this is, again, something I randomly put together in Canva, but it has been so helpful and has really kept me true to what I say is important to me. And I literally pull this up when I get any type of, when I pay myself. So I would love to know for you all, what are some things you would put on your value-based spending ladder? Let me know in the chat. Yes, Natasha, I love that book. A portion of all I earn is mine to keep. Absolutely. So my mom told me that my grandfather taught her, like, no matter what even if you only make $10, you save $1. Like, always keep something for yourself because, I was on a podcast earlier today and I was telling her how I was celebrating my birthday in Houston and driving my car. And unfortunately, I got not one, but 2 flat tires on my birthday on the way to church. Now, If I didn't have an emergency fund, I might have been crying on the side of that road and had a terrible birthday. But you know what I did? I drove that car right back to my sister's house, parked it, called AAA, set up a tow for the next day, paid for them new tires, and kept it pushing. Went to have ice cream with my friend. And that's the beauty of having a structured plan in place, because things are going to happen, right? Life is going to life. So how are we going to be prepared for that? And that is where my saving came in handy, because I'm like, oh, well, I guess I got to get new tires. Nothing I can do about it. Got to drive the car. So what, let me know in the chat, what are some things y'all going to have on your value-based spending? And then we're going to wrap up with me sharing, I'm going to share a decision-making grid that I use. It's on paper, y'all. It's that old. Oh, I love it, Natasha. Love, family, abundance. So those are your values. And how would that translate into spending? Love that. Anybody else in the chat? Let us know. We want to hear from you. So I'm going to stop sharing that for now. Any questions about how to create your value-based spending ladder, how you take your values and turn them into a line item, so to speak? Yes, absolutely, Natasha. Thank God for an emergency fund. Okay. Because, I mean, that could have ruined somebody's day, but I'm like, whatever. I got the money. Trust me, I would, if I didn't have the money, I might have been feeling a whole lot different about it. Okay. So to wrap up, and while you all are formulating any questions that you have about turning your values into a value-based spending ladder, love it. So Baby B says faith. And then what will faith look like for a spending plan? Like, what line items would you have? So here's how I kind of make decisions about whether I want to spend money or not. And again, I'm not here to tell you not to enjoy life. Like, I am the person who loves to be on an airplane, and I love to get my hair and nails done. Okay. So you now, if depending on what your cash flow is like, you may not be able to do everything. So choose, what is something that you could do nice for yourself that's not going to break the bank, right? Like, maybe it's just going to Starbucks once a week or something like that. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant or cost too much money. So when I'm thinking about evaluating purchasing decisions, right, the first thing to ask yourself is, do you really need it? I mean, we all know that. I think that's easy. Now, if the answer is yes, then you want to ask yourself, can you afford it? If the answer is yes, and usually you're asking yourself these questions because sometimes maybe you just really don't want to spend the money, right? Or you don't think it's a good deal that you're getting. So if you say yes, you can afford it, then you can also ask yourself, do I already have something that will do? So is there something you already have that can use instead of you buying something brand new? If the answer is yes, then you don't need to purchase it. But if the answer is no, then you may want to ask yourself, can you wait for a more reasonable alternative? Maybe you want to wait to see if it goes on sale. Maybe you want to look for a coupon. Maybe you want to look at a different store, right? And then if there's no reasonable alternative, then you want to ask yourself, have you located the best deal? If you haven't, then maybe you don't want to purchase it. If you have located the best deal, then you can ask yourself if you waited for 48 hours to think it over and be certain about it. Because sometimes, we impulse buy, right? It's just like, okay, I need this, so let me get it. But can you wait a couple days and kind of figure out if that's the best route? And then if you've waited for 48 hours, if you can, some things you absolutely cannot, like baby diapers. Like, if you just need the diapers, the question, then at that point you could say you've made a great decision. Okay, so that's kind of some of the thinking. I've been using this chart for years. This actually was published in 2006, so you see, I was like almost 20 years old. But this has really helped me to avoid just making impulse decisions. Really asking myself, do I really need it? Really asking myself, is this the best deal? Is there another alternative? Do I have something that can substitute? These types of questions have really also helped me like the stuff that's towards the bottom, like the travel, the home decor, the clothing, those things that are not an absolute necessity, I kind of run them through this process. So let's see what we got here in the chat. So Britt says, tithe, investing in charities. Okay, that sounds good. Awesome. So yeah. Anybody else have anything that they want to share in the chat? Let me know. I hope this was helpful to y'all. Did anybody, or what are some key takeaways y'all got from tonight? I would love to know. So that's kind of how I literally walk through how I'm deciding where I'm spending my money. And, from a high level perspective, making sure I'm in integrity with what I say I value and I believe. And then if I do need to spend money, because I don't really like spending money except on plane tickets. But other than that, I really don't like it, honestly, or investing. Excellent. Oh, I like this. So for Natasha, she says, love, self-development, exercise, personal care, family, personal home, reliable transportation, and healthy food and meals. Love that. Excellent. So basically for me, if I put that on a scale, from 1 to 10, right? Like this is the most important. So whenever I get money, I do those things first. And if my money is really doing good, then I can hit up all of those things. So excellent. Thank you for that, Natasha. Well, I want to say thank you all for joining tonight. Let me see. We got abundance investing. Yes, family savings and creating generational wealth. Beautiful. And so I can see like on your ladder, you having self-development, you having personal care, having, home. So I can definitely see you having different rungs on your ladder as well. And then you can group some together because maybe some of them have equal weight, right? So you see how I had like travel, home, clothes, like that. Those are not necessities, but those are things that are important to me because I like having a certain type of environment as well. And I like to appear a certain way. So you can also do it like that. So I hope that this was helpful to you in helping you to decide like how do you want to structure your spending plan. And it's not only about like how much money you have, but it's also about making sure you prioritize what's important to you, what moves your heart, and not always waiting until one day. Like if I waited until I was a billionaire to become a philanthropist, I would not that I would never, but I might be, significantly older. And so I don't want you to have to wait to say one day, I really want to do this, but one day, one day, one day. No, it's today. Even if it's $5, $1, whatever, start building that fund towards what's important to you. So that's what I wanted to leave with you today. I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much, Natasha, like being such an awesome cheerleader, always using your creative energy, always being a blessing. Thank you to everyone who was able to join tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. I know it's a little bit non-traditional, but I want us to begin to think of our money in a non-traditional way and really elevate our consciousness around wealth, money, and being able to live our life on purpose. Yes, I love it. In your financial journal. Excellent. So I would love if you don't mind sharing one day, if you finish your value-based spending letter, share it with me. Let me know. If you do have social media, take a picture of it, tag me. Because I definitely want to cheer you on in really living an aligned life on purpose from your heart. So thank you all for joining tonight. It's been my absolute pleasure to serve you this evening, and I look forward to seeing you next week. We are going to be having a special guest on. We were having the guy, he's a guy, and he's going to be talking to us about what's going on with getting rid of student loans and, with everything going on in the administration, some things to think about if you have student loan debt or somebody has student loan debt and it's got them drowning. He has a ton of resources. He's a student loan expert. So he's going to be on here with me next week, and he can really be a big support to you. So thank you everyone for coming, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good night.